Hello, and welcome to the Sunday Reflection at Cork Unitarian Church. Today's reflection is about our place in the universe and how we choose to think about it spiritually. Lately on the internet, I've been seeing a number of items related to former NASA astronaut Ron Garan. Garan has spent 178 days in space and traveled more than 71 million miles in 2,842 orbits, traveling some 400 kilometers above the Earth. Garen's space experience gave him a new worldview perspective that sometimes is called the overview effect. The term overview effect refers to the cognitive shift that astronauts can experience when seeing Earth from space. It is a big picture perspective coming from the experience of seeing the entire world all at once over a prolonged period of time. Here is some of what astronaut Garan shared in his interviews. He says, "When I looked out the window of the International Space Station, I saw the paparazzi-like flashes of lightning storms. I saw dancing curtains of aurora that seemed so close it was as if we could reach out and touch them. I saw the unbelievable thinness of our planet's atmosphere. In that moment, I was hit by the sobering realization that the paper-thin layer keeps every living thing on our planet alive. I saw an iridescent biosphere teeming with life. I didn't see the economy, but since our human-made systems treat everything, including the very life support systems of our planet, as wholly owned subsidiaries of the global economy, it's obvious from the vantage point of space that we are all living a lie. We're not going to have peace on Earth until we recognize the fact, the basic fact, that the interrelated structure of all reality. We need to move from thinking economy, society, and then planet to thinking planet, society, and then the economy. That's when we're going to continue our evolutionary process as people." Astronaut Garan's comments can be taken as an indictment of our culture, its actions, and its values. I'll pause here and present a couple of things to reflect on. First of all, what do you think about astronaut Garan's perspective? Do you agree with all or part of it? If you partially agree, what parts do you agree with then? What do you think people should do about it? What do you think you should be doing about it? Keep those in your mind, and now I'll ask you something else. How does your own idea of religion, God, or spirituality impact your opinion on this topic? The reason I ask is that because for these kind of changes that are implied by astronaut Garan's comments, there will be a need to have both personal sacrifices and socio-political changes on a large scale. And when we look at the history of the religious thinking that helped shape the Western world, we see a tendency to support things that run counter to astronaut Garan's perspectives. For example, we have come up with notions that minimize the importance of this world, our planet Earth. Some people have seen and continue to see the physical world as corrupted and needing to be destroyed by God. That apocalyptic view leaves little incentive for those people to try to save the planet. Some people view this world as a place for suffering, the mourning and weeping in this valley of tears. In that way of thinking, our reward comes in another heavenly world after our death. This one doesn't matter to them. In both of those cases, these religious beliefs help shape a worldview that resists collective actions to invest in fundamental social economic changes. Some people see the need to acquiesce to authoritarianism and or human dominance over the natural world. This way of thinking has allowed for centuries of destructive extractionist colonialism over large areas of the earth. The formal end of colonialism, overt colonialism, has not slowed down the process of exploitation of natural resources, and it's still prominent in the national economic policies of many countries. Again, religious support for the exploitative application of dominion over nature helps shape a worldview that resists collective actions to invest in fundamental social economic changes. I will admit that many of our major religions and religious denominations have produced statements and papers calling for stewardship rather than dominion, and they talk about the need for what is sometimes now called the integrity of creation. I'll also acknowledge that these same religious and religious denominations can sometimes point to some very admirable role models, saintly individuals who have done some good work, but typically without moving the needle very much to change society. And those exceptions don't prove a rule. The bigger question is whether these are essential teachings of these religions and religious denominations. Are they backed by resources and commitment? Or are they simply nice statements? I'll suggest that a look at those various church budgets would be quite telling. But all of that is just a setup for our final self-reflection point. What personal, religious, or spiritual beliefs do you hold that shape your own worldview as it relates to astronaut Garan's observations? And then, do you think you might need to revisit some of them? We don't all have the opportunity to orbit at 400 kilometers above the Earth, but we do have the opportunity to learn from someone who has. Amen. And now for our blessing. May we better appreciate the holiness and goodness of our natural world. May each of us grow in our awareness of our place in the living systems of our natural world and share that awareness as best we can. May we learn to work together for those larger but necessary collective efforts that we need to ensure so that we can preserve the delicate balance of our planet's ecosystem and our human civilization and keep them in harmony. And until next time, I wish you all peace and blessings.